Hi, everybody. Gwen Peterson here, creator of Insights and Illuminations. And I'm taking a look around my little studio here, making sure everything is on and lit up. I think I'm set. So, this is episode 4 of It's a Game. And one of the biggest questions that I get in spirituality is where do I begin? So, we're going to tackle that. We're also going to talk a little bit about awareness, how your journey starts with awareness. And, it's more of an awakening to voices, listening to the voices in your head. Sometimes that sounds kind of scary. But listening to what's going on in your head, the nudges from your soul, realization that there's more to life than what meets the eye. And so today we're going to talk about why spirituality isn't about having special gifts, practice and gifts as in GIFTS, and practical steps to begin your journey, insights from my own story that may help you feel more comfortable about playing the game from a different perspective. And probably the biggest takeaway is that you'll have the tools and inspiration to take your first intentional steps towards spirituality and maybe playing around with some different things and seeing where it takes you, see what, how it leads you. So we're going to get ready to start. We're going to begin here. Don't forget to subscribe. Like the episode, share it with someone you know, and remember that my book, It's a Game, which this podcast is based on, is available on Amazon, so check that out. And for those who are, well, if I'm watching this, do I need the book? This is just kind of a deeper dive into the book in areas that I didn't go. So there's a little crossover, but for the most part, this is a little different. So, yeah, feel what you feel. So let's dive in. Let's start out with that question of where do I begin? Oh my gosh, that was my question when I started out was where do I begin? Because there's so much, okay? When you start dipping your toe into the whole spirituality area, you'll get bombarded. You'll get bombarded by classes, events, modalities, teachers, just there's a whole thing there. And it can be quite confusing and it can be overwhelming. And you'll have a lot of people, they'll be like pulling at you. Come do this. This is most important. Your life depends on it. You've been living your life from the dark side. Now you got to come to the light side. And it's imperative for the, safety of the universe. And you can find yourself in the deep end of the pool really quick. And I'm going to help maybe give you some floaty toys that'll make you feel a little bit better about the whole situation. Because where it all starts is we have this feeling inside, like there's something more. Am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing? Is this all that is there to life? There's got to be more. There's got to be something I'm supposed to be doing differently. When you start asking yourself those kind of questions, that's from that soul level, okay? The soul connection here in the heart. All right. When your soul starts to have some rumblings and some nudges coming your way, you start to ask those kind of questions. And so you start kind of checking things out, talking to different people. And it's a little easier now than when I first started out. All the books on this, anything spiritual, was in the very back of the bookstore next to the bathroom under Wicca. And so that can be a little daunting. You're like, well, I really wasn't looking for witchcraft. And nowadays, it got a new title. It's, not so much spirituality as self-help, self-awareness, um, type of things, which kind of takes some of that edge off for people who are like, ooh, is spirituality a conflict with my religious beliefs? So maybe start there. Spirituality is all about your personal relationship with God. Okay. Now, religion is organized, it's organized spirituality. So you have people who are saying, a commonality of this is what you want to do, this is how you do it, and we're right. Everybody else is wrong, is usually how that goes. Sometimes you'll run into some that are like, um, they're less divisive. They're more inclusive. They don't require you to leave your religion to come to their services and learn things. And so, but that's, again, religion has that basis of teaching you um, to have a relationship with God, the universe, universal light, the omnipotent, whatever name or self vision of that higher power is to you. There's really no right or wrong on that. Okay. It's your own personal thing. And like I said, religions will kind of guide you in this is what we call it. This is how we worship it. This is how you live in alignment with that. And there's nothing wrong with that. Okay. There's nothing wrong with religion. Religion's got its place and all of that. However, when it comes to the individual person, you're going to have your own take on things because guess what? You've got your own individual, unique soul essence coming through. All right. And I think we talked about that in one of the episodes, the second episode, that you are extremely unique. As your soul came into this body, it came in with its own thing and set up with special life experiences that it was going to have, filters that you'd be working through. We talked about it, whether you're male, you're female, what that relationship with your sexuality is, hair color, skin color, all those play a role in your avatar in this game. And so that makes you very unique, extremely unique. And so in religion, you may have, okay, say Catholics, there's a bazillion Catholics, and they don't all think identical. All right. You sit them down, you start probing into some deep questions on their beliefs about things, some deep things. You're going to find a bazillion different takes on what they believe and what resonates with them and what doesn't, even with, in a particular branch of a religion. So, so what does that look like? It can look like, do you believe in reincarnation? Do you believe in an afterlife? Do you believe in heaven and hell? Do you believe that when you die, you die? Or as like in my teachings, as you see, as I present this stuff, I do believe that we have an eternal part of ourselves, that soul essence. The physical part of us is not infinite, but our soul essence is infinite. And if you got that, that opens up a whole doorway into more belief systems, and so that's where you get all of these all these crazy modalities, as you could call them crazy. They're all good. People believe in them. They've come about because of that person's personal experience, or maybe they've learned something that resonated with them. They learned it, and they just feel very strongly about it. And there's nothing wrong with that. But you do need to be aware that it's about you and it's about your relationship with you, with that soul essence, opening up that conversation on a deeper level with your soul so that you can explore those questions that prompted you to even start looking around. Is there more to life? Am I supposed to be doing more? Is there something else that's going on here? Um, and if you don't have those questions, that's fine too. That's not any big deal. Uh, and that's the core of it. Not everybody has to jump on the spirituality, dive into, awareness and awaken that awareness and, all that stuff. And there is a group that believes that everybody needs to become aware. No, no, you don't. Spirit knew about what all this is. We're not saving the planet. We're not saving the world. We're not saving the universe. There's nothing to save. Do you really think that I'm going to go out there and say it? If you believe in an all-powerful, omnipotent energy, whether you call it God, the universe, whatever, do you really think if it's that all-encompassing and that powerful that it can't save itself? And what would it save itself from? Itself? You know? So, the doom and gloom and all of that is very tied into third dimension, and we talked about that, I think, last week, about how third dimension is very fearful, and it's got a lot of, limitations and rules that aren't universal rules, so they morph with whoever's telling you, so, like, if somebody's like, "Hey, you'll" yeah, no, let's not go all into that. I could could go into one of those conversations. That's why I got notes in front of me to make sure I stay on topic with you guys, because there's so much that can be talked about on here. But my goal is to, and you might have said, "Well, Gwen, if you're saying that, I, you know, shouldn't be listening to people tell me, do it this way, do it that way. Isn't that what you're doing? Aren't you telling me I need to do this and I need to do that?" Um, I guess, but, but I'm wanting you to become self-sufficient. Okay. I want you to be, um, coming from your own soul, finding your own answers, relying on yourself. Sure, it's okay to have confirmation from things. You read a book, it gives you confirmation here. You feel the resonating with some a speaker's talking, and you feel it. You feel the truth in what they're saying. And that's what I'm talking about. It's not that you're cutting yourself off and you're not going to listen to these people, but what you're going to do is you're going to start listening to who you are at that deeper level, so that you can navigate the game the way your soul wanted to play the game. Okay. And so, yeah, I'm trying to listen to see if there's if spirit's going to drop anything in a little bit more on that topic before I move on to the next one. So, where do you begin? As we go along, I'll give you some tips on, how to get started for yourself, for yourself. And then you can just kind of branch out from there, kind of play. That's when you start playing the game. All right. So we'll talk about that in a little bit here. Um, let's go with the importance of awareness as the first step in your journey. Okay. Awareness is really important because if you're not really consciously paying attention, and I think maybe you can relate this to, sometimes if you get in your car and you're not paying attention, your brain's over here or there, you're thinking about something else. Next thing you know, you miss your turn, or you hit somebody, but because you're not paying attention, you're not aware that you're driving a car and need to be paying attention to your, the traffic and the stop signs and the lights and the people and where you're going and what time you wanted to be there. If you're not aware of all that, getting in a car can become dangerous or futile, it's not really going to get you where you want to go. So if you can think of it like that, okay, awareness. So awareness means you're doing that objective observer type of thing where maybe you've had this experience where something's going on and you step back from it. You're not engaged, you're not really in the conversation. You're just kind of observing the conversation. You're observing what's going on, what the people are doing, what's happening. And as it's unfolding, you're kind of getting a feel for, I wonder, this or that, whatever, is coming up on that. Um, so, with spirituality and playing the game, you want a level of awareness, okay? A detached kind of observer place as you're doing this. All right. And you're going to be like, oh, well, how the heck do you do that? That's a little, how do you do that? So as we move through this, I'm going to walk you through that. I have a note here that says why talking about why spirituality isn't about having special gifts, but about self-discovery and personal growth. And I touched on the personal growth. As we go through our discussion today, we're going to talk about self-discovery. But it's really not about special gifts. And that's one of the things too for newbies coming into spirituality. You will run into lots of people who will tell you that since they were a young child, they've had these special gifts. They do this, they do that, they can do this, they can do that. You know, one, to validate themselves sometimes, to let people know that they're legit, but you don't know they're legit. You don't know until you really kind of spend some time with them and with what's going on to really understand if that's really the scoop anyway. But special, and sometimes they say it so that they feel like they've got something you don't have. And that's not true either. We all have the ability to do a lot of those things. Um, Mediumship, where you are able to talk to crossed over loved ones. We can all do that. If you're not really haven't spent time doing that or haven't really worked with someone who does that, you might find yourself in the deep end of the pool with what that can entail. So I don't recommend if you just jump into mediumship without some kind of guidance. All right. Another one is psychics. Okay. And the difference between mediums and psychics is a whole class in and of itself as well. All right. So psychics can give you kind of a flow of what's coming. They can't tell you what's going to happen, but they can kind of give you a feel for what's going on. Mediumship is a little bit deeper. Not all psychics are mediums, but all mediums are psychics. And again, those two areas, you don't need special gifts to do it. You can learn it. You can train yourself into it. Most people don't have that ability because they were never trained into it. You probably, once you start doing different things in spirituality, you might find that, oh, I remember I used to do that, or I used to hear this, or this would always happen. And then you'll find out that, yeah, we all kind of come in with a certain level of connection on that. Um, you know, uh, Same with like healing type work. I'm trying to think of some of the other stuff. Channeling is another, some people do it automatically. Some people, it's a learned thing. I was not taught any of this stuff originally, so I came into it later in my life after that experience that I talked about in the first episode. After that event, it had my attention, and so I wanted to find out what that was all about. And as I moved into it, I really was surprised at the depth and width of spirituality, what it encompasses, what, um, as a spiritual, energetic soul essence of God, having that soul power and energy. I was really surprised to see how our lives are dramatically different than the way we really kind of bump around in it, until we start doing our own self-awareness thing. So, so it's not about special gifts, all right? We all got them. If you aren't aware of them, you can learn yourself into them. But you don't have to do all of it, all right? You don't, there's people, I'll tell you what, I've been doing this a long time, the teaching of stuff, as my own personal learning unfolded. I slowly worked into becoming a teacher. It really wasn't something I was pursuing. It just kind of became a natural flow of things. And as I started working with people more and more about spirituality, I found I had a lot of people who would come to me from not so much that they were seeking spirituality as much as they had questions. And that's kind of where we started, right? The questions. But these people would have some really crazy questions that I was surprised by. Okay, so I would be hit with questions of, well, they see orbs, or they'll see angels, or they hear voices like, on a clairaudient level, they can, really hear different things and know things that, they never did before. All of a sudden, they're having this situation and they're not wanting to pursue it. They don't want that. And it's easy enough to close that stuff off. And sometimes I've found people who have closed it off and then later on said, "Oh, I wish I hadn't have done that," because sometimes it's a little difficult to get it fired back up again. Um, you don't have to, you know, there's some movies that have been done about people with special gifts, psychic abilities, and they show how these people are just tormented all their life and they have to be psychics, because they have this ability, they have to be psychics. Or the catch thing right now is empaths, people, some of the older spiritualists will tell people, "Oh, you're an empath," because these, people are like, "Oh, it's hard for me to be in crowds. It's hard this, the energy, this," and so people will slap on them that you're an empath. And so these people feel like they're doomed for the rest of their life. They'll never go shopping again because they can't be around people. And it's not that. Everybody's an empath to different varying degrees. And again, being an empath or a psychic or anything else, you control it. You control it. All right. You get to say what you can and can't do. Um, crossed over loved ones should not be just popping in on their own. It's an easy remedy. You just kind of tell them, no, no, I'm only letting in people I invite in, and at this point in time, the store is closed. Same thing with empaths, being an empath, if the, sensitivity aspect of it is too much, you're taking on too much, you're feeling too much of what's around you, build a bubble. I have videos on all this stuff, you guys. Build a bubble around yourself, push that energy back off of you. You do not have to take on the energies of other people. You don't have to, all right? So, special gifts. They're special, all right. So, tiptoe around the stuff. And if somebody really puts some high pressure on you about things and it's not resonating with you, you feels a little off or like it feels like pressure, back off. Back off from the person. Go back and, like I said, we're gonna slowly ease into what you can do to take control of your own awareness journey. So I think I'm looking at my notes here. I think that's all I really wanted to talk on as far as special gifts. I found when I started out, that was the thing I was bombarded with the people were, how they all had these special gifts. And I kind of felt like it made me feel like I missed out on something or something wasn't right. And, and I'm trying to find answers to this crazy event that happened. And, no one can give me answers, but they all got special gifts, which just none of it ever made sense. So that was part of the journey, was learning that, learning all this stuff and how it all sits and how it intertwines and what works with what and what parts are, not, you know, I'm gonna kinda digress a little here. So, like, Reiki, I have a story on Reiki. Um, I'll go into it real quick. I'll try not to linger on it too long. So, with Reiki, I really didn't know anything about Reiki, okay? Knew nothing about it. But one day, I felt this little nudge that said, I knew a friend who did Reiki. They were a Reiki master, and they for whatever that was, were nice. But I felt like I had this nudge that I should do that. I should go and have a session, a Reiki session. So I reached out to my friend and I told him, the situation, and he was like, "All right, yeah, not a problem." It was an interesting effect because as what you do is you're laying on a table, the person is working with the higher frequency energies, okay, angels, ascended master types, that high frequency energy. They've cleared themselves. They try to be as pure and as focused as they can be to open the energy for you. That allows for some people, it allows for healing. For others, it allows for more spiritual depth. There's a whole host of things. So it's kind of interesting from that regard. So I went there, I'm laying on the table there, and it's not a hands-on thing. Normally, they don't have to touch you to do it. So it's not like massage or anything. So this person starts at my head, and as we started, as soon as he started, I was out like a light. I couldn't tell you. All I knew is he put his hands on both sides of my head, and the next thing I knew, he was at my feet. And I was like, and then like an hour or something had gone by, and I was like, "What happened?" He's like, "Oh, so you've decided to come back and join us." I was like, "Well, I don't know what happened there." And he says, "Well, I've attuned you to a level 2, your angels and guides that said you had done the work, blah, 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 da, da, da." And I was like, "What?" What are you even talking about? I'm like, I don't even I still don't know what Reiki is because I obviously left the planet for a while. So, he kind of broke it down for me, what it all was about, and this, that, and the other. And one of the things he said was to start to work with energy, start to feel the energy, start to work on yourself with the energy, feeling it. That he taught me some other stuff about it. And I was like, all right. So I went home and I was trying to make an energy ball, trying to feel the energy, feel the heat, the power, whatever. And I wasn't feeling anything. It's just like, I think this is hokey. I don't think this is anything. And then when I saw him next, he's like, "So how's it going?" I'm like, I'm not getting anything. I don't know what this is all about, but whatever." And he's like, "No, no, no, no." He's like, "That's we're gonna get to the bottom of this." So he's like, "Make your energy ball." And I'm like, "Okay, I'm making an energy ball. Although I can't feel it, let's just say it's there." And he's like, he put his hand into the space and he's like, "There's a ton of energy there. You can't feel it." I'm like, "Mm-mm." And so then he had me do some hand placements for some energy work, and he's like, it's there, it's not there for me. So I couldn't feel it, but at the same time, when I did use it for different things, I did notice that I could influence things. All right. Um, so I sat with that. I meditated on it, and I asked Spirit what that was all about. You know, why tell him I'd done the work, make me a Reiki level 2, and but yet I can't, I don't feel it. I can't, I don't feel like I don't feel like I've got what the other Reiki people are talking about. And they told me that that was pretty much turned off for me because they were afraid I would get too, as Gwen, I would get too caught up in it. Not my soul, but Gwen, the mind, would be like, "Ooh, get in a candy shop," and go running off doing Reiki work when my work needed to go in another direction. So they said, "Yeah, you have the ability to do the Reiki work. You just can't feel it." And so it's not that whole sensory thing isn't there, but you're quite capable of doing the work, but don't let it distract you because there's other things going on. I was like, all right. And then later on, I did find out where that came into play was with when I started doing my heart opening activations. People needed to have their chakras opened and cleared to be able to process the energy that they were starting to take in when they opened up that heart center and started to really feel the fullness of that connection to their soul, which kind of leads me into the practical steps to begin your journey. I am currently writing another book. This book's called Meditation Starts with Me, M-E. Um, so it's about learning to set up a meditation practice, a successful one, to become successful at your practice. It takes out some of the things that people get caught up in and feel like they're not doing it right, and all the stuff that shuts them down and from moving forward with it. So I have on my website, there's an ebook on it. It's a lot shorter, kind of condensed cliff notes of the book I'm writing right now. So you can pursue that. I do have a video too on my website for about meditation, and it's on that same topic of um, how to be successful at meditation because I feel very strongly about meditation, as you will find as you delve into spirituality, that all good teachers and all good religious teachers, different religions, they call it prayer. Some of them call it meditation, but it is the foundation of your spiritual growth, your self awareness, your self discovery and personal growth, if you will. So let's talk about meditation. Meditation just makes everybody cringe. I've been teaching it for so long, and it's like the 101 part of what I do, right? You got to get the meditation down before you can go anywhere else with your stuff, because plain and simple, you have to be able to hear what is going on in your head. What are all these thoughts? What's all going on? What do you spend all your time on? Is it good? Is it bad? Are you going in the right direction with it? Um, And if you're not sitting down quietly and undistracted, and objectively or observing, that going in that observer mode, like I said, sitting there and listening and seeing and observing what's going on, there's only one other time that it happens. And that's when you're in bed trying to go to sleep. So everybody who tells me they can't sleep, their life is chaotic, they're up all hours, their mind just races, they can't, they feel overwhelmed. Those are all symptoms of not sitting down and centering yourself and quieting that stuff down. All right. And by quieting, I'm not saying ignore it, shut it down, stuff it in a box, pretend it's not there. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking quiet. When you sit and you do meditation and you're observing those thoughts, they start to quiet down because you're actually spending time, conscious time, paying attention to what's in your head. And you will find that some of those thoughts are old junky thoughts that have been there since you were a kid, but you've been stuffing them down, ignoring them, pushing them away. They rear their ugly head in a different kind of context. And meditation. So I don't think I'm going to spend a lot of time here talking about all of it. Because like I said, I've got the ebook, I got a video, and I got a new book coming out on it that you can delve into. But to get started real quick, and we'll do a quick meditation. We did one on the last episode. We'll do one here too, just kind of give you a feel for what that looks like. But meditation is there's a depth to it. Okay. It's not just that I'm sitting there trying to be quiet. All right. I'm not sitting there trying to shut down my head. That's not what it is. It's more about focus. Meditation is about learning to focus your mind, because our minds are an intricate part of our being here. I think I talked about this in one of the episodes, that our mind anchors us here. It's that physical focusing mechanism that our souls use to be present in this dimension. So it runs all day, every day, usually unattended, doing whatever it wants to, unless we get tired of hearing it and then we tell it to shut up. And our mind, I am going to throw in for right now, the mind is like a little kid. Okay. Think about a 2 or 3-year-old. If you are a parent and you had a 2 or 3-year-old, you could probably appreciate when I say that you had to have some real stick-to-itiveness with them. They would push you and push you and push you if they wanted something. And if you caved, it was harder to do it the next time, like say bedtime. If you weren't firm with you're going to go to bed now and that's where you're going to stay, and you were wishy-washy and with it, it gets difficult and difficult. That's trying to meditate with your mind. Okay. Your mind is the 2 or 3-year-old. Your mind doesn't want to go to bed. Your mind doesn't want to sit for 10 minutes or however long you're telling it it's going to sit, and you're going to sit quietly and kind of listen to what it has to say. It doesn't want any part of that. And so that is the practice. I try to pat people on the back and say, job well done. When they tell me, well, I've tried to meditate and I couldn't do it because I couldn't get my brain to shut down, or I've got, this or that, as soon as I decided I wanted to do it, all heck broke loose in my life. That is all part and parcel of the meditation practice. All of it. I know we see the end product of some yogi sitting somewhere in the lotus position all day, every day, like they have nothing better to do than to sit there all day, every day, meditating. Obviously, that must be their soul calling, but you don't have to sit there all day, every day. But that is but we see that as the end goal. All right, we see that, and we think that's what it is. That's meditation, and that, yeah, that person's meditating, but it took time to get to that place. And it doesn't look like that for them every day, okay? Every day is different. Every day is gonna have its own jubilation or takeaways or distractions, and the practice of meditation is to work with that, redirect the mind, have the observer take control of the situation, and alleviate the fears of the mind, and to find the strength to move through things in life, because you are going to have situations. But if you have you have your spiritual practice, if you have that meditation practice, if you have that self-discovery and personal growth that you've been working on, when stuff happens, you can move through it gracefully. Okay. You've seen the people, all heck is broken loose, and you're like, how can they stay so calm? Because I think I would be coming undone. And it's because they've got that alignment, a personal alignment with that deeper part of themselves. And meditation will get you there. But you got to do it. Don't wait until all heck is breaking loose to try to do it. I mean, you can, but it'll be a lot more difficult. Do it while things are a little quieter. Um, so yes, so meditation, taking the time to observe what's going on there, looking around to see what things need to maybe be cleaned up, changed around. There's lots of tools and tricks and trades and things to help alleviate some of the turmoil that we have in our life. But it starts with meditation, because you don't really know what, that's where that question, where do I begin? You don't know where to begin, because you really don't know enough about what the questions are, what real questions you need to ask. So that's starting with meditation, and learning about meditation and what that looks like and how to feel good about it, um, is the starting point, because from there it just takes off. And that was for me a game changer, and there's been a few in my life, but that one was a game changer. Um, Learning to sit for even 10 minutes. It was real difficult. I worked in the corporate world. I worked, 60 hours a week, morning, noon, and night, weekends. I just worked, and had problems getting to sleep at night because I just had so much going on in my brain. And the whole idea, I was a multitasker too. I would have 7 balls in the air simultaneously. So sitting down and putting those balls on a table and to sit quietly went against everything. It went against every fiber of my being. But I found I just kind of like in the car, I just was in a place where I couldn't deny it anymore. I couldn't not listen, not look, not explore, not, and I didn't know anything about meditation. So I taught myself, I learned about it. I went to meditations and saw what different ones were about. I heard people talk about it. But you can do that. You can read about it. You can listen to stuff on it. You can, kick the tires. But until you really sit down and meditate, you're not going to get the benefits. And again, I applaud anybody who's sat down and said, "It's hard," or "I can't quiet my mind," because kudos, you've done it. You've done the work. That's the work. That is the work. And you might think, "Well, that I don't like that." You're gonna get better sleep if you do it, because guess what? If you get it done 10 minutes before you go to bed, then you're not up all night, or if you do it first thing in the morning, you'll see your days kinda quiet down and become less crazy. Um, there are benefits to it. Just getting your butt in that chair 10 minutes a day. Start out slow, and like I said, the book, my ebooks, my video, they all say the same thing. Start slowly, start workably. One day a week, 10 minutes. That's all you need. Just take some time. I've got videos. I've got meditations on my YouTube channel too. If you need meditation to sit to. You can do that. So, yeah, meditation. That's the foundation. And then that kind of leads into journaling. I'll throw that in there too. Journaling, because you'll find as soon as you're developing that meditation practice, that some things just won't quiet down, or you feel like you need to engage a certain thing. It's there, it's there, it's there. That's where your journaling comes in, and your journaling, you just write what comes into your head, everything that's there, just pour it out. First time I journaled like that, where I just sat down because it was 3 in the morning, couldn't sleep. My brain just would not shut down. There had been an event that just had me by the short hairs. And it was like I'd been done wrong. I was angry. I was angry that people who I knew and loved and thought loved me had turned on me. And I was just so angry, and I wasn't getting any sleep. And all of a sudden, I kind of was getting this nudge to, why don't you go write? I'm like, write. And I hear it, go journal. And I'm like, no. And I'm like, because I don't want to get out of bed. I was still living up north. It was cold. I don't want to get out of the bed. I was all warm and tucked in. And it's like, yeah, well, you're not getting any sleep anyway, so you might as well. So I did. You know, I went and sat down with a pad of paper and pen, and just started writing about the situation. And I wrote about the situation, and that situation led into another situation, which led into something else. And I want to say I wrote pages and pages and pages. And after a little bit, I got tired. I was tired. I felt like I had written out all that I could write, and I felt good. And I felt like I could sleep, and I went to bed, and I had the best sleep I had had in ages. So, yeah, meditation and journaling were two little peas in a pod that work together and do a lot. And I have a free video on that as well, in the journaling, and how to use it. So, yeah, keeping it handy, because at the beginning of your meditation, you can write about some stuff. During your meditation, you might have an aha moment that you're like, oh, I don't want to forget this. Because sometimes you can get inspired during a meditation. And when you come out of the meditation, it's almost like trying to remember a dream. So sometimes coming out of the meditation enough to jot down an idea or two so you can remember it, is good. Or at the end, sometimes you get done with your meditation, you're just really in a great spot, and you just feel like spirit wants to share things with you, and you can just continue to write from there too. That's always fun and good. So those are I think, my points I wanted to talk to you about today. Um, that don't get hung up on the special gifts. Um, it's about you discovering you in your stuff. You know you better. Your soul knows you better. So unless you're feeling something here, saying, "Oh, talk to that person or read that book or hear this," or you hear somebody say something and it warms your heart or it makes your head buzz, pay attention to it. Pay attention and see what that's about. You don't have to grab it and engage it and make it yours forever, but you listen to it and see what's there. What's that thing, and does it speak to you? And what's it saying to you? Maybe journal on it later, maybe meditate on it later, and you start a dialogue. That meditation time starts a dialogue because as your mind gets heard and it becomes less fearful, it quiets down. It really does. It'll start to quiet down. And then as it quiets down, you'll start to begin to have um, a conversation with that soul level. Okay, the still small voice that you hear about in the Bible or different people will talk about is that still quiet voice, and that's your soul speaking to you. And you can't hear it if your brain is just running around having a temper tantrum and kicking and screaming because it wants to be in control. So you use your practice so that you can make that alignment and hear and feel and move from that space. And that's a better place to be because earlier episodes, I talked about it's impossible for anybody to know exactly who you are, what your experiences are, and what your soul really wants. Okay, they can't. They don't. They don't. And anybody that tells you that they do, you don't. You might want to step back because your soul does. Now, if your soul is saying, listen to what this person's saying, that's a different story. But if someone's trying to override your intuition, then that's not how that one works, folks. That's not how that works. So that's my story for you today. Learning to trust yourself, take your guidance from yourself, and let it take you on a really fun journey through the game of life, playing by different rules, coming at it from different ways. And it all kind of starts with meditation and journaling. Yeah, there I said it, meditation and journaling. But you will thank me for it if you do it. I have people that, and again, we're going to do a quick meditation here. And I've had people, that have been like, "Oh, can't do it, can't do it." So I'm like, "Oh, let's just sit here and do it." And then we'll do a short little meditation and they'll be like, "Oh, is that all there is to it?" And it's like, that's all there is to it. That's all there is to it. And when you do it, oh, I can feel my heart opening on this one, so it might get kind of teary. Because even though it doesn't seem like a lot and it doesn't seem like you've done anything, you've actually opened that soul level and you've tapped into energy, you've tapped into a power, an ability, a creation ability, creativity, inspiration that you have no ability on third dimension. Okay. This is a level of um energy that you can work with, and it's a good power, high power. Don't let people scare you. Oh, that's bird. Yeah, that's their filter, fear filter. Do you see the fear there? Spirit, God is all loving. It's unconditional love, peace, and joy. Unconditional love, peace, and joy. Anything else is not spirit. Okay. So, what we're working with here and what I talk about is working with unlimited or unconditional love, peace, and joy. So, that energy is what created the world. Okay. It's what creates everything. It's what moves everything forward. Okay. It's where miracles come from. So, yeah. So meditation it's pretty powerful. So yeah, I've had people go, "Oh, so that's all there is." Yep. And on the other flip side, I have had people, friends who know about my spiritual work. So they come to me and go, "Oh, Gwen, everything is out of control. Everything's so bad. And they'll give me a laundry list of everything that is going wrong and how they're just miserable and they're overwhelmed. And I'm like, "Are you meditating?" And I already know the answer. Okay. I already know the answer. And they'll be like, "No, enough said." Because that is what you get, especially when you open that door. It's like Pandora's box, right? Once you open the door to spirituality and you start to open that heart center and you start to move forward from God's love, peace, and joy, closing that door is kind of hard. You just kind of keep moving with love, peace, and joy. And if you decide that, oh, I don't need to meditate, too busy to meditate, I got too much going on to meditate, it only gets worse. The stuff just gets out of control because your mind is now taken over and your mind should not be left unattended. Would you really put a 2-year-old in charge of your life? Would you? And yet we do. And yet we do. So there you go. I think enough said. I think that's enough said. I can feel my friends, my archangels and ascended masters kind of hanging out there. We're kind of coming up on, ooh, sorry, I've been rattling on for almost an hour now. So let's do this real quick meditation. Get comfy, wiggle around, get a good spot, close those eyes. Attention put your attention on your heart center. We're going to take a few deep breaths. And as we take those deep breaths, we're calming down the body. We're focusing the mind. And then we call in the angels and guides, our higher energy entities, God's love and grace. We let that heart open up. With your practice, you learn to trust God. Put your faith in that ultimate unconditional love, peace, and joy. Trusting, having faith. Taking another deep breath. Noticing if your mind is willing to quiet down or not. And if not, it's okay. Let it know that we're just sitting for a minute. Notice what other things may be getting your attention, but noticing it, not engaging. Taking another deep breath. Asking Spirit to take all that stress and anxiety that doesn't serve you, to take it, push it off to the side so that you can just focus on the things you love. the things that are truly important. In love and gratitude. Namaste. And that's all there is to it, my friends. It's 4 o'clock. I say thank you. Take a moment to let yourself reacclimate to your physical surroundings. Maybe shuffle your feet a little bit so you ground. I'll be back next week. We'll talk some more on It's a Game. I'm Gwen Peterson. Visit my website. Check out my book. I got a bunch of links there for you. So go ahead and check them out. Take care. Love you.